Hi everyone, it's Michelle. I wanted to make a quick video for you today because I thought of this super cool trick for counting your rows in your knitting project. I personally suck at counting rows, especially when I'm working on a project like this one where it's just around and around in stockinette with no pattern. I have 3 kids running around, so I'm normally picking up and putting down my knitting multiple times a day, and usually not at the end of a round. So keeping track of rows gets difficult. Even with a row counter, I've had many times where I've forgotten to click it or I couldn't remember if I did or not. So I had to come up with something where I don't need to count at all. As you can see, I have a bunch of stitch markers going on here. These ones with letters, they're actually on elastic thread, so I can use them for any size needles, which is awesome. Put that back there. The B is for BOR, beginning a round. H is half, particularly important on 9-inch needles. I have a K for K2 tog, P for P2 tog, S is SSK, L for M1L, and R for M1R. But these other guys are actually what I'm using for row counting. And actually my 9-year-old made these ones for me. Aren't they cute? But you can use anything, even some scrap yarn, and then cut it off later. These markers that I have attached to the fabric are already showing every 10 rows, but you can use any increment that you want, depending on how big your project is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Marking every 10 rows, I've seen a million people do that. And yep, you're right. But what about if you can't keep track in between those 10 rows because of, life? That's where these extra stitch markers come into play. I have it placed 10 stitches before my BOR. As I come to it, I move it along until it reaches the end of the row, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can see now I've knit all the way around to 3 stitches before my marker. I'll finish this off for you here. So 1, 2, 3. I'm back at my marker here. I'm going to remove it from my left needle. I'm going to do 1 more stitch, and I'm going to put it back on to my right needle, and now I can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more stitches to go until the end of this round, or until the end of this set of 10. So I'm just going to keep knitting along, and I will be back in a moment. So I've knit a few more rounds for you here, and you can see that I'm approaching my marker again. And just as simply, when I get to my marker, I'm going to take it off, knit 1 more stitch, put it back onto my right needle, and then I can finish out the row. And I'm going to show you here real quickly how easy it is to figure out what row I'm on with all my stitch markers. So I have my ones here marking every 10 rows, so I can see I've done 10, 20, 30, 40, and then on this row I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left in my set of 10, so 10 minus 5 is 5, so I've done 45 rows. I'm going to finish out the last couple of rows here, and then I'll be back to show you how I finish out the last row and start a new one. So I forgot to actually stop knitting here and just show you that when you get to 1 stitch before the end of your round, so you've moved your marker over, you're on 1 stitch before the end of your round, which means I just finished the 9th set in that group of 10. We just want to pay attention because on our next time around is round 10, and there'll be one more important thing to do that we have to keep an eye out for. So when I'm finishing row 10, I just need to get my next marker ready. And I'm actually hiding out in my room right now to do this video, so I'm just using a scrap piece of yarn because I don't have another marker ready. Because the next time I pass over this section, I'm going to be on row 1 of the next set. So I'm just going to watch for when there are 10 stitches left. Just be careful because there is 1 stitch left on the other side of your marker here, so I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this one is 12. So I need to do 2 more stitches. And now I have 10 stitches left, including this one on the other side of the marker. So I'm going to want to add my new marker onto my right needle, and I'm just going to knit to the end of this round, well, oopsie, to the stitch marker. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, remember, because the 10th one is on the other side of the marker, so I'm going to take this one off, just like I did before, do my one more stitch. But now, since we're at the beginning of the round, means we have done all 10 rows in that set. We're just going to loosen this stitch up a tiny bit. I'm going to open it up and clip it on there, and I know that I've done another set of 10. And if you don't have removable stitch markers, you can take a piece of scrap yarn, just pass it through and tie a little knot, cut it off when you're done. And that's basically it. You just move the marker along and it counts the rows for you. And it can be done in any increment. I'm just using 10. Theoretically, you're only limited by the number of stitches you have on the needle. I have 72 stitches. I could have started the marker at the beginning of the round, brought it all the way around, and when it hit the end, I'd know that I have 72 rows. This only works, however, if there's no change to your stitch count. If there is, that will affect the row counting. On a project like this, you can see I'm just working in stockinette on the instep of this sock. It's so easy to just go around and around, never have to worry about any counting. And it's helped me a lot to keep track of my rows, especially like I mentioned before. I pick it up, put it down, throw it in my bag. Sometimes, you know, if I'm waiting in line somewhere or waiting for an appointment, and you never know when you're just going to have to put it back in your bag, you lose count of where you are. So this has helped me a lot, and I really hope that it can help someone else too. Let me know if it does. I'd love to hear about it. Okay, bye.